Hello everyone, welcome to Vishesh Educational Videos. In this video, I am explaining about object and a class concept. That means what is an object and what is a class. After explaining what is object and a class, I am going to explain what is actually a class diagram. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. To get the notification of my new videos, please click the bell icon. And please don't forget to like the video and please don't forget to share the video with your friends. So let me begin the explanation of object and class, and also along with that what is actually a class diagram. So what is an object? First of all, class modeling is used to describe the objects. So first, before understanding what is a class modeling, you need to understand what is a object. An object is a concept, or it can be abstraction, or it is a thing, right? So an object can be a concept or abstraction or a thing with identity, right? So in simple words, right? So object is a thing with identity. For example, here Joe Smith is an object, is a person object. Infosys, it's an object, it's a company object. Getting, guys? Right? Here Joe Smith is a real world thing, right? Process number 7648. Process number is a conceptual object, but Joe Smith is a real world object. If I say object, object can be real or conceptual. Infosys, right? Infosys is a real world object. Infosys company, it's a real world object. Process number, but it is a conceptual, right? Process number, right? Or not only process, a program, whatever the program you are going to write, program is a conceptual object. Hope you are understanding. So object, in simple word, an object is a thing or a concept or an abstraction with identity. For each object there should be identification number. That means there should be a way to identify a object. Hope you are understanding. For example, to identify a person, I am identifying a person using a name Joe Smith. Hope you are understanding. Process number 7648. So 7648, what it is actually? It is like identification, right? I don't want to confuse you guys. So in simple words, an object is a thing, right? A abstraction or a concept. So object can be a real or it can be conceptual. So example for real world object can be bicycle is a real world object. File in the computer is a conceptual object. Hope you are understanding. Bicycle is a real world object. File in the computer can be a conceptual object. Now, what is a class? Class is nothing but a group of objects, or I can call each object as an instance of a class. I'm going to group similar objects into a class. For example, Infosys employees. All the employees of Infosys can be grouped into a class called company. Hope you are understanding. All the process can be grouped into a single class. All the persons right, working in some company can be grouped into a class, like that. All the students in a class, for example, all the students who are studying in computer science can be grouped into a class, right? So what is a class? So class describes a group of objects with same properties, that means with same attributes, and also along with that same behavior or operations. For example, I told you, right? So group of objects, for example, students of computer science can be grouped into a class. What are the same properties they have? All the students belongs to the same class, computer science. All the students are studying a professional course. So you can observe there. So I'm grouping the objects with the same properties, that is attributes. So each student will have a name. Each student will have a register number, that is the attributes. Each student will study. Each student will study. Study is what? It's an operation or a behavior. Hope you are understanding. There, if when I group the students, all the students will have the same. All the students will have the name. All the students will have the register number. In the same way, all the students will study. Study can be operation or a behavior, right? So class means I am grouping the similar objects. Similar objects means objects with same properties or behavior, that is attributes or operations, right? So person, class, company, right? So person class means it contains all the persons. Company means it contains all the companies, like that. I can group the objects into a class with similar properties. Properties means same attributes and same operation. And one more important thing, all the objects have identity and all the objects are distinguishable. That means for every object we have some identification number and also not identification number. So there should be way to identify the object, and all the objects are different. For example, so see here, two apples. Take two apples with same color, shape and texture. Even the two apples have the same color, shape and texture also, both these apples are different only. They can't be same. There are two apples with same color, shape and texture. That means two objects, two apples will have the same color, shape and texture. But they are not same actually. They are still different. Each apple is different. Right? A person can eat one and then the other. Hope you are understanding. A person can eat one apple, then the next apple, like that. So if I say two apples with the same color, same shape and same texture, still they are different. Each apple is different. A person can eat one and then the other. That means each object is different and each object will have separate identity, right? Each object will have separate identity. Hope you are understanding, guys. Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section, right? Next, what is a class modeling? So now you know what is an object and what is a class. So class model, what it does means, it's going to capture the structure of the system or a static structure of your software by characterizing the objects in the system. That means it is going to describe your software in terms of objects, and also it is going to tell the relationship between each objects, and also along with that the attribute information and also operation information will be right there in the class model. So in simple words, class model is going to represent your software in the form of class. That means class means if I say class is a set of objects. So your software will be represented in the form of objects because class is a set of objects. And also not only the details of the objects will be there, also along with the individual object details, the relationship between different objects, the details will also be there, and also different attribute information of each object, also behavior or operation information of each object will be there in the class modeling. When I take the example, you will easily understand this, right? So you can see here. So what is a class diagram then? I told you it will give the idea, it will give the information related to object and their relationship and their operations and their attributes, right? So class diagrams give that information in the form of graphics notations. So class diagram provide a graphics notation for modeling classes and their relationship, right? So class diagram means you can show the relationship between the classes and their details in the form of graphics, right? So when I describe the classes, in turn I am describing the objects because class is a set of objects, right? Getting, guys? Getting? So in this diagram you can see there in the left side diagram, this is a class, this is a person class. Here you can observe I am showing the information in the graphical format, that is graphical notation. For example, here class person is represented by a rectangular box. Here this right side are nothing but objects. Joe Smith is a object, Mary Sharp is a object. Hope you're understanding. So Joe Smith and Mary Sharp are the objects of the class person. Getting, guys? So class diagrams provides a graphic notation for modeling the classes. So you can see there. So I'm using a notation, graphical notation to represent the classes here. So here the left side diagram is the class diagram and the right side diagram is the object diagram. So object diagram shows individual objects and their relationship. Class diagram shows individual classes and their relationship. So this is the class diagram and this one right side is a object diagram. Hope you are understanding, guys. Right? Why we need a class diagram means class diagrams are useful both for abstract modeling and for designing actual programs. So modeling means I told you while explaining the modeling, I can do abstraction. That means I can collect only the information that is necessary for my software development. Right? Here class diagrams, I can collect the classes only that are related to my software. So thereby it's easy for me to represent my software in terms of class diagram. Hope you are getting, guys. Right? And if I say class diagram is a set of infinite set of object diagrams. So for example, what is the meaning of it? Here this is a person class. In this person class can contain any number of objects. Joe Smith, Mary Sharp, Vishesh, so and so. Any number of objects it can contain. Infinite set of objects it can contain. Hope you're understanding. If I say a class diagram can correspond to infinite set of object diagrams. Hope you're understanding, guys. Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubt in the comment section. Right? Next. So here you can see how I represented the class here by using the rectangular box. Why I have to use the rectangular box only? Because UML, Unified Modeling Language, has some set of notations to represent the class, class attributes, class operations and objects. So you have to follow that notation only, that syntax only, same syntax, UML defined syntaxes only you have to use. You can't simply use your own notations. No, it is not possible. UML defines some standard notations, so to define the classes and the objects. So you have to use the same notations while writing the diagram, graphic notations of your class or object. For example, see, so UML symbol for both the classes and object is a box. So to represent the class or to represent the object, I am going to use a box. You can see. So for person, I used box. For the objects within the person class, that is Joe Smith and Mary Sharp, for objects also used a rectangular box. So next, right? And objects are modeled using the box with the object name followed by a colon followed by a class name. See, what is the syntax to represent the objects? So objects are represented in a box. Along with that object name, see, Joe Smith is the object name. After the object name, what is that? Colon. After that, class name. So this is the notation. Object name, colon, class name. See, object name followed by colon followed by the class name. See, Mary Sharp, object name, colon, then what is the class name? Person, because Mary Sharp belongs to a class, person. This is the syntax to represent the object. And use boldface to list the class name. So boldface. So this person is the class name, right? That should be in a boldface. You have to make it bold. And also center the name in the box and capitalize the first letters. Center the name in the box. So it should not be left aligned or right aligned. Class name should be center aligned. And the first letter, for the person, what is the first letter? P. That should be in capital letter. That should be in capital letter. And use singular nouns for names of classes. For example, here I used a singular noun person. I can't use a people as the name of the class. Right? Person is a singular noun. So you have to use the singular noun to name the class. Right? So for example, if you have multi-word names means Joe Smith. Joe is the first name, Smith is the last name. So in that case, if you have multi-word names, you have to separate the word with intervening capital letter. So you can see here, Smith, what is the S here? S is a capital letter. I separated two names with a capital letter. See, starting letter of the first name is capital, and the starting letter of the second name is capital. S is capital for the Smith. Right? Here also I used like that only. For Mary Sharp, M is capital, S is capital. For Joe Smith, J is capital, S is capital. So if you have any multi words, you have to separate that words with the capital letter. So this is the conventions you have to use while graphically representing the class. Right? UML conventions you have to use like this. Hope you are understanding, guys. And one more important thing, for each attribute we have a value. Now first I will tell what is attribute, then you will understand what is the value. So attribute is a named property of a class that describes the value held by each object of the class. For example, attribute is a property of the class. For example, consider this person class. For a person, what can be the attribute? Person name, person age, person identification number. These are all the attributes. So attributes are what? Attributes are the property of a class. So each attribute will have a value. That's why each attribute describes a value held by the object of the class. For example, you can see here, and one more important, first I will explain this. See, attribute, what are the attributes of the person class? Name can be the attribute, birth date can be the attribute, age can be the attribute. So for each attribute there will be a value. I told you, right? For each attribute there will be a value. So for a name attribute, what is the value I am storing here? Joe Smith. What is the birth date of the Joe Smith? 21 October 1983. So that is the value for the birth date. So what is the value for the age attribute? 64 is the value for the age attribute. So what you are understanding here, for every attribute there will be a value. So these attributes are of person object. So every attribute will hold the value. Every attribute will hold the value. As you know, object is to class. In the same way, value is to attribute. That means if I say a class is a set of objects. If I say attribute is nothing but it contains a set of values. See, name, birth date, age, all this attribute contains these values. That is Joe Smith is the name value, name attribute value. 21 October 1983 is the birth date attribute value. Age is the age. What is the 64? 64 is the value of the attribute to age. For every attribute will have a value. Every attribute will hold the value. So value is nothing but a piece of data. Value is nothing but a piece of data. Here 64 is a data. Joe Smith is a data. 21 October 1983 is a data. So value is nothing but a piece of data. Right? So every class will have, every object in a class will have the attributes, similar attributes. Right? Hope you are understanding, guys. So see, so this is the notation here. So here the first compartment represents the class name. What is the class with attributes here? So here, what is the name of the class? Person. What are the attributes of the person class? Name and birth date. So what is the type of the attribute? String. Birth date will be in the form of date. Hope you are understanding. So here the first compartment contains the class name and the second compartment contains the attribute. Here also in the same way as the class, object name will be represented in the first compartment. Attributes of the objects will be represented in the second compartment. You can see here, name and birth date are the attributes for the object Joseph. You can see. Hope you are understanding. So this is the notation to represent the class with the attributes or object with the attributes. So if it's a class name will be in the first compartment, attribute will be in the second compartment. If it's an object name will be in the first compartment, object attributes will be with the second compartment along with the values. See, along with the values. Hope you're understanding, guys. Next, conventions. So you know that already. So you have to list the attributes in the second compartment of the class box. See this attribute details is included in the second compartment of the class box. See, attributes are included in the second compartment. Class name and object name is in the first compartment, right? And also optional details like default value may follow each attribute. Here I didn't specify any default values. If you want, you can specify that default values also. Suppose the birth date of the Mary Sharp is not there, you can specify the default value. What should be the default value if this value is empty? The details can also be included here, right? A colon precedes the type. A equal sign precedes the default value. See, colon means colon precedes the type. What is the type here? Name type is string. Birth date type is date. So this colon is telling about the type. What type you are going to, what type of value you are going to store. But if you use equals instead of colon, it will tell the default value. That means for this name attribute, the default value will be Joe Smith. For this name attribute, the default value will be Mary Sharp. Like that. Hope you are understanding. Right? And the attribute name should be in the regular face. See, the attribute name, whatever the attribute name is there, it's in the regular font. Left align and the name in the box, use small case for the first letter. See, whatever the attributes names are there here, all the attributes are left aligned, and you can observe here the class name starts with the capital letter, but the attribute name starts with the small letters. That is the UML notation. The first letter should be the small case for the attribute. See, right? It is the small letter. First letter for the attribute is the small letter. And similarly, we may also include attribute values in the second compartment of the object boxes with the same conventions. I told you, if you want, along with the attributes, you can include the values for the object. For example, here the name attribute contains the Joe Smith value, birth date contains 21 October 1988. Similarly, for Mary Sharp also, name attribute contains the value Mary Sharp, birth date contains 16 March 1950. So I can include values also. Right? And one more important thing, very important thing you have to know here is, do not list object identifiers. For example, see here, what is the difference between these two diagrams? First, correct representation I will take. Here, what is going to tell that you do not include identifiers. For example, like IDs. Is going to tell that no need to represent that identifiers information because they are implicit. Implicit means for every object identifiers is compulsory. That's why for you no need to include once again. Not necessary. So you can see person, what are the attributes for this? Name, birth date, or home telephone number are the attributes. Here I didn't include the person ID because ID is compulsory. You have to understand that ID, for every object there should be a identification. So that's why it is compulsory. You no need to include it explicitly. Automatically it will assume that person will have some identification, a person class will have some identification, person object will have some identification. For you, no need to include that. But here, why it is wrong? Here, along with name, birth date and the home telephone number, I include person ID. See, no need to do that. No, don't include the identification numbers or identifiers. Not necessary. Avoid that. That's why this is correct, this is wrong. Hope you are getting, guys. Now you know what is a class, what are the attributes of the class. Now what is the operation? I told you, when I group the objects into a class, each object should have the similar attributes and similar operations. I told you, for a class, each student will have the name, each student will have the ID. In the same way, what is the operation for each student? Each student will study. Every student will study. Study is nothing but an operation. Now we will see that what is the operation. An operation is a function or a procedure that may be applied to or applied to objects or by objects in a class. For example, I told you, for a student class, study may be the operation. For example, for a file, what can be the operation? Open the file, close the file. This can be the operation, right? For employee, what can be the operation? Hiring, hire, pay. These are the operations for the employee class. What you are getting, guys, right? For example, for a bicycle, what can be the operations? You can move the bicycle. You can lift the bicycle. So move, lift, those are operations. So operation is a function that applies to an object. Right? Right? So if you implement the operation, then it can be called as a method. That means when I say a move, for doing that operation, you have to write a code, right? For example, don't get confused here. So you have to open the file, you have to close the file. Open or close are operations. So to open the file, you have to implement that, right? You have to write the code, then only you can open it. You have to write a program, or else how you can open it, right? That's why when you write a program for that operation, that program will become the method. Don't get confused. If you get confused, just assume that operation and methods are one and the same, not a problem. For example, see, in a class file, print is an operation. Hope you are understanding. Yes, what is the operation for a file? Print is an operation. So for the print operation, you could implement different methods to print a file. What I am trying to say is, yes, print is an operation for a file. Someone may write 3 lines of program to print a file. Another may write 5 lines. Another may write 100 lines. See, each 3 lines, 5 lines or 100 lines, whatever it may be. What is the task they are doing? Same task, they are printing. That is the operation. But how you implemented it? One program contains 3 lines. That is one implementation. One program contains 5 lines. That is second implementation. One program contains 100 lines. That is third implementation. So 3 programs are doing the same task, printing, but they are different. Hope you are understanding now. So print is an operation, but to print it, I can write any program in any ways. So that then it will become a method, right? So operation can be implemented using different methods. Like 3 lines program, that is one method. 5 lines program, one method. 100 lines program, that is another method. Hope you understand. Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section, right? And one more thing, same operation may apply to different classes, such as operation is polymorphic. That means in a carom, assume that in a carom and in a chess, move operation in carom and move operation is chess, they act differently, because in a carom you will strike the pawn, there the pawn will move in a different way. In a chess your pawn will be moved in a different way. But even if they move in a different way, what is the function they are doing? Moving. They are both the pawns in a chess and carom are moving, but they are moving in a different way. They are moving, but they are moving in a different way. That is polymorphic. Same thing but different forms. Move is the same thing with different way of movement. Moving is the same thing. It applies to carom also, it applies to chess also. But in carom it moves differently, in chess it moves differently. That's why move is a polymorphism. That means operation is polymorphism. Polymorphic. Operation is polymorphic. Same operations may apply differently for different classes. So for example, move apply differently for chess, move apply differently for carom. Yes, movement same. Movement applies to both, but how they are moving differently. In carom they move differently, in chess they move differently. Hope you are understanding, guys. If you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. Right? So you can see here. So this is the UML notation. First compartment contains the class name. Second compartment contains the attributes. Third compartment contains the operations. For example, see what are the operations for the person class. Change job, change address. Person can change job. Person can change the address. So these are the operations that applies to the person class. For a file, what is the operation? Print. Print applies to the file. What is the operations for geometric object? You can move the geometric object. That means rectangle, triangle. So what are the operations applies to that type of geometric objects? You can move it, you can select it, you can rotate it. Hope you are getting, guys, right? So third compartment contains the operations. Now we will see the UML notations. So what is the notations? List the operations in the third compartment of the class box. Yes, you already know that. List operation name. What is the operation name? Operation name should be in a regular face, left align. In same way as attributes, operation name should be regular face and it should be left align. And in same way as the attribute, operation name should be start with the lowercase letter. First letter should be lowercase for the operation also, same as the attribute. And also optional details like argument list and return type may follow each operation name. For example, in this third case, that is in geometric object, you can see each of details like argument list. What are the arguments for the operation move? Delta. For the select, what is the argument? Point. For rotate, what is the argument? Angle. So you can include this argument details also, and also type details. What is the type of the point? Boolean. What is the type of the rotate? Float. See, so you can include this argument list also along with the operation details and also return type, right? And one more important thing, parenthesis enclose a argument list. See, argument list arguments are included within the parentheses. See, within the brackets, parenthesis enclose an argument list. If you have too many number of arguments, you should separate the arguments with the, right? You should separate the arguments with the commas. See, here if we have only one argument, that is delta, point, angle, we don't have the second argument here. If you have the second argument, you should separate the second argument with the comma. And also type. What is the argument type? That argument type should be preceded with colon. See, What is the type for delta? It is a vector. After the colon, we have proceeding the type, right? What is the, see, for a point, it is a boolean. So type can be proceeded after the colon. Hope you are getting, guys, right? And one more important thing, operations should be included when you for the class, not for the object, because operations apply for the class, not for the objects, because move applies to every object, select applies to every object of this geometric object class, rotate applies to every object. That's why when you include the operations, just include that in the class. It can be applied to all the objects that are present in the class, right? Hope you are getting, guys, right? So this is the actual generic notations. So what is the generic what is the generic notation here? Class name should be in the first compartment. In the second compartment, you have attribute name and the data type for that attribute. If you have a default value also, you should include that. In the third compartment, operation should be there. If operation operation have argument list, the argument list should be there. And if the result type should be there you can include that also. So this is the general notation, right? Whatever the things I explained here, those things are represented in generic way here, right? So this is the syntax. Hope you are getting, guys, right? So that's it, guys. Hope you understood the concepts. Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video.